Welp, Regulation H has unfortunately come to a close, and that means it's time for a list of the top 5 restricted Pokemon of Regulation G in Scarlet and Violet VGC. We are now able to add one restricted Pokemon onto our teams. To make it simple, restricted Pokemon are typically the same Pokemon seen on the main series game's box arts. Pokemon like Zacian, Rayquaza, and Groudon are examples of this. But they also tend to have monstrous stats anywhere between 680 and 720. Outside of a few laughable restricteds, that is, like Cosmog and Cosmoem. In total, there are 42 restricteds when you add up all the forms and potential transformations. However, not all of them are created equal under Arceus. This is Farfetch'd Tactics, and here are the top 5 Pokemon I believe are poised to dominate Reg G in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Opening up the list is quite literally one of the format's top dogs, Crowned Shield Zamazenta. First showcased back in Gen 8 with Pokemon Shield, Zamazenta was overshadowed by its counterpart Zacian. But in a new game with new moves, Zamazenta proves to be the better option. For starters, Zamazenta has one of the best stat spreads among all restricted Pokemon in the format. At 92 HP and 140 in both defenses, Zamazenta is a certified tank. Throw in its great 128 speed and 120 attack, and Zamazenta can do more than just soaking up damage. Its defense gets boosted even further just by entering the battle with its ability Dauntless Shield. Dauntless Shield boosts Zamazenta's defense by 1 stage the first time it enters battle. It also has great typing in Steel Fighting. This gives it only 3 weaknesses, next to 8 resistances and 1 immunity. Some key takeaways here are its resistances to Ice and Dragon, which only add to its bulk against common threats like Calyrex Ice Rider and Miraidon. Throw a Dragon Terror on him and you will even have options against other big threats like Kyogre, Koraidon, and Water Urshifu. Switching over to moves, Zamazenta did lose the main benefit of its signature move Behemoth Bash, with the obsolescence of Dynamax, but it gained something even better in Scarlet and Violet, Body Press. Considering Body Press leverages the user's defensive stat instead of the traditional attack or special attack stat, Zamazenta can finally weaponize its incredible 140 base defense. And as a bonus, Zamazenta even gets stabbed with it thanks to its fighting type. Body Press isn't the only great move Zamazenta has in its kit, however. It also has Wide Guard. Wide Guard is a move that only 49 Pokemon have access to, and the only restricteds among them are Lunala, Solgaleo, and Zamazenta. In a regulation full of devastating spread moves like Electro Drift, Glacial Lance, and Precipice Blades, you need someone with Wide Guard, and Zamazenta is a great choice. Other moves you will likely see on Zamazenta are Protect, Heavy Slam, and Iron Defense. Next on the list is one of the more interesting Pokemon to be introduced recently, Terapagos. First introduced in the Indigo Disc DLC for Scarlet and Violet, this stellar disco ball instantly moonwalked its way into the meta. This Pokemon has a lot going on with it, so let's jump right in. First off, Terapagos has 2 main forms with unique abilities and move effects that you need to understand. Its Terastal form and its Stellar form. The Terastal form has an underwhelming 600 base stats and balanced spread along with its ability Terra Shell. Terra Shell is similar to Multiscale on Lugia or Shadow Shield on Lunala, where the Pokemon receives half damage when at full HP, which is a great ability, but on a Pokemon with such low stats and only 1 weakness to begin with, it is a bit lackluster. However, add in its signature move Terra Starstorm, and Terapagos' potential begins to take shape. When in its Terastal form, Terra Starstorm is simply a single target 120 normal type move that uses either the attack or special attack stat in the damage calc. Whichever stat is higher is the one that it will use. While that is a strong move, it's not enough to get Terapagos into the top 5 of all restricted Pokemon. For that, we need to Terastalize Terapagos so he transforms into his Stellar form. In its Stellar form, Terapagos balloons up to a staggering 700 base stats, with most of the increase going into HP and special attack. Now with 160 HP, 110 in both defenses, and 130 special attack, Terapagos' Stellar form is built to soak up damage and dish it out. It also gains the ability Terraform Zero, which eliminates the effects of both weather and terrain. So Groudon Sun teams, Kyogre Rain teams, and even Miraidon with future Paradox Pokemon will be stiff-armed out of their main strategies until its Stellar form Terapagos is removed from the field. As if that wasn't enough, Terra Starstorm also becomes a spread move with the Stellar typing, which means worst case you can hit both Mons with a devastating neutral hit, or best case, one of them terrestrialize and you hit it with super effective damage. Either way, the opponent will be taking a lot of damage and likely suppressing their Terra until they theoretically remove Stellar Form Terrapagos from the field. Lastly, if you are able to set up with 1 or 2 Calm Minds and overcome its middling speed with either a soft Trick Room strategy or Tailwind support, then it may be wraps for your opponent. Coming in at number 3, we have one of the 2 horsemen of the VGC apocalypse, Calyrex Shadow Rider. Introduced back in the DLC of Pokemon Sword and Shield, Calyrex Shadow Rider made a massive splash with its incredible ability, stat spread, and move pool. Calyrex Shadow Rider is a Psychic and Ghost type Pokemon, which gives it only 2 weaknesses, 2 resistances, and 2 immunities. Unfortunately, both of its weaknesses are a 4x weakness, but thanks to terrestrialization you can neutralize them both, or simply just give it a Focus Sash. Additionally, its immunity to fighting types can play into opposing Zamazentas with Body Press. Calyrex Shadow Rider is also one of the very few Pokemon that has 2 abilities active simultaneously. As one, a nerve, Grim Neigh not only stops opponents from eating their berries, but it also gains +1 special attack every time it gets a KO. Pair that with its already monstrous special attack stat, and Calyrex Shadow Rider can begin to steamroll quickly if left unchecked. Looking closer at its stats, you can see it has decent HP with OK defense and special defense. But where it really shines is with its hefty 165 special attack and incredible 150 speed. Between these 2 stats, Calyrex Shadow Rider is positioned 4th in special attack and 6th in speed across all Pokemon available in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Moving on to its move pool, it's got a lot of very strong options at its disposal. Its signature 120 base type spread move, Astral Barrage, is a great example, but with its inability to hit normal types, more options are needed. Expanding Force is a great pivot if you are concerned about opposing normal types, and it even has Draining Kiss to deal with resisting dark types or the ever-present dragon type in the format. Finally, if you are able to protect Calyrex Shadow Rider with Follow Me or Wide Guard support while setting up a nasty plot, then your opponent will be lucky to survive any attack it doesn't resist. Now, nearly at the end of the list, we have our number 2 Pokemon and 2024 World Champion winner, Miraidon. Miraidon is the flagship Pokemon for Pokemon Violet, and it was built to bolster itself and ally future Paradox Pokemon. Miraidon is an electric and dragon type Pokemon featuring only 4 weaknesses and 6 resistances. Thanks to its typing, it does play pretty well into its counterpart Koraidon, giving that it either resists or takes neutral damage from common moves like Flare Blitz and Collision Course. Additionally, with a stat pool of 670, broken down into 100 HP, 85 attack, 100 defense, 135 special attack, 115 special defense, and 135 speed, Miraidon is essentially a bulkier, yet slower version of Calyrex Shadow Rider. It is actually stronger than Calyrex Shadow Rider as well, outside of the presence of Wheezing or Stellar Form Terrapagos. This is because of its ability, Hydron Engine. Hydron Engine boosts Miraidon's special attack 1 stage when on Electric Terrain. This means just from placing it on the field, it can boost its attack up to a maximum 308 at level 50. That is 70 points higher than Calyrex Shadow Rider. It goes even one step further because any electric type move Miraidon uses gets an automatic 30% thanks to Electric Terrain. All of this combined turns moves like Volt Switch, Electro Drift, and Discharge into absolute nukes if not going into a ground type. But thanks to Draco Meteor and Dazzling Gleam, Miraidon still has a great answer for any ground types it may run into. Lastly, Miraidon pairs great with any future Paradox Pokemon thanks to their Quark Drive ability. Quark Drive gives an automatic 30% or 50% speed boost to the Pokemon when it's on Electric Terrain. This can often mean that you can't solely focus on the Miraidon. You also need to worry about the Iron Hands next to it that just boosted its 140 attack stat another 30%. Finally, the moment you have all been waiting for. The best restricted Pokemon and final horseman of the VGC apocalypse is none other than Calyrex Ice Rider himself. Calyrex Ice Rider was introduced alongside its Shadow form counterpart in the Sword and Shield era, but with one flaw: its atrocious typing. Calyrex Ice Rider actually has the worst typing of all the restricted Pokemon, excluding its own jockey, Calyrex. With 6 weaknesses and only 2 resistances, Psychic Ice typing has proven to be devastating. However, thanks to terrestrialization, this is an issue no more. Literally every single typing you could terrestrialize into has less weaknesses and more resistances or immunities than Psychic Ice. This gives a lot of options for team building, and you can really flex it to synergize best with your team or fill gaps you may have. This is highlighted in the top 8 from the World Championships in 2024. Out of 3 Calyrex Ice Rider teams in the top 8, each one had a different Terra. One was Water, Dragon, and Grass. Compare that to the 3 Miraidon teams in the same list, and you'll notice that they are all Fairy Terras. Calyrex Ice Rider also has the same double ability as its Shadow Rider counterpart, but with a slight twist. Instead of boosting special attack when it gets a knockout, it instead boosts its attack stat 1 stage. Moving on to the stats, Calyrex Ice Rider has a stat total of 680, and it is spread extremely efficiently once again. Look at how much bulk this Pokemon has. 100 HP followed up with 150 defense and 130 special defense is insane. Pair that with a staggering 165 attack and 50 speed, and it's ready to be the ultimate Trick Room sweeper. 165 attack also places it at the 4th highest attack in all of Pokemon. It is actually the only restricted that was very obviously built to be a Trick Room sweeper as well. The only others that are close are Duskwing Necrozma and Dawnwing Necrozma, with 77 speed, but that is even a little too fast for a reliable Trick Room set. Another aspect that makes him so difficult to deal with is that it actually gets Trick Room itself. So if you lead him with another common Trick Room setter like Indeedee, then it often comes down to a 50-50 shot whether you can shut down Trick Room or not. Additionally, Calyrex Ice Rider's signature move is devastating. As a 120 base power spread ice move, Glacial Lance doesn't have any immunities to worry about, which gives it a huge leg up as you can't just buy yourself a free turn by going Terra Ground or Normal like you can against Miraidon or Calyrex Shadow Rider further down in the list. Also, with so many Dragon types in the Reg G format, it puts a lot of pressure onto many of the main threats like Miraidon, Groudon, and Rayquaza to Terra or switch out on turn 1. Another move you will likely see on it is High Horsepower, because it pairs so nicely with Glacial Lance. The Ice and Ground typings attacks perfectly fill in for each other's weaknesses, so it can hit anything with at least neutral damage. Thank you everyone for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on which Pokemon deserve to be known as the top 5 restricted Pokemon in Reg G for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you think I overlooked any Pokemon or simply got the order wrong, make sure to let me know in the comments below. I plan on going into many other top 5 lists in the future where I take a look at topics such as underused moves, underused items, or various other Pokemon categories. So I hope this video has convinced you to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future top 5 content. Lastly, as a follow-up to this video, I will be showcasing at least one of these Pokemon in Master Ranked VGC battles for my Gotta Catch 'Em All challenge, where I try to earn a Master Ranked ribbon for every Pokemon available in Scarlet and Violet. But for now, I want to thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.